Hello and welcome to Balls and Brew, the sports flagship show of the Morgan Podcasting Network. I'm not Rod Morgan. Rod is going to join us as soon as he possibly can. Those tin cans that he has to connect for the internet are not working. Chris King is here because he knows you got to use the fishing wire is key, right, Chris?
Well, see, Rod jinxed himself coming on here a few weeks ago, calling himself a handyman and everything, and now all of a sudden the stuff he builds doesn't work.
Well, it happens to the best of us. Speaking of things that don't work, Williams and your picks on the show. Josh Williams, how are you tonight?
What's up, boys? I've been a little off football this week. I've been tracking IU basketball in Puerto Rico, so hopefully
something that we all care about deeply. Well, actually, two of the three of us definitely care about deeply.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start, as we always do, with our question of the week. And our question of the week, we've got kids going back to school. I know IU starts here in a couple weeks, which that's why Chris is sweating so much right now and not sleeping. What is your favorite playground game from back in the day? Josh Williams, what was your favorite playground game?
I think kickball on pavement. So 100 degrees in the summer, going back to school. You draft the teams, and the kickball was always fun. It was always a good time.
Did you want yours slow and smooth or fast and bouncy?
Yeah, so then there was always arguments.
Talking about kickball?
Yeah.
Chris?
There's always arguments with the pitcher. You can't bounce it like that. It's not fair. So, yeah, man, it was reminiscing about the old kickball days on the hot pavement. It's good times.
Well, you have to worry about the foul balls, too, because you're gonna get the people doing jump rope. You're going to people playing basketball, and those basketball people might come over and fight you. You never know about that. And then you got the monitor. Chris, were you ever a recess monitor?
No. Listen, I'm an old man. We didn't have monitors or anything else or people watching over you. My recess was right next to a state highway, all right? There was cars zooming by at 60 miles an hour, right? So we didn't have safety protocols in my day, all right? But
Chris, we're talking about school, not your work release. What was your favorite game to play at recess?
So I'm going to give you two things, and I know that's not fair, but I have to do this because Williams took kickball from me because that was one of my favorites. But in elementary school, we had a big, large, brand new swing set, and that was as important as anything to anybody in recess. So it was a competition, a mad dash free-for-all to get one of those swings every recess. So just the scarcity alone made that one of the big prizes. The other one is we played 2-on-2 basketball. No rules. All right. Only way there was a foul was if there was blood. Travel was allowed, elbows, anything. 2-on-2, no rules basketball.
Yeah, we play wrestle basketball. It's basically the same thing, I think, as well. I'm going Foursquare, dude. I just played with the kids right now, and it was so much fun. You know, all the different rules of can you put it in the corner? Do you have to catch? Can you hit it without it bouncing? A lot of fighting in Foursquare of what happened here and there. So I just had a ton of fun playing Foursquare. Loved it.
I don't think I've ever played Foursquare, nor do I know any of the rules.
Williams, you're a big Foursquare guy?
I am aware of it, but you know what else was underrated that I'm just now thinking of? Knockout basketball.
Knockout was always good. You could bring anybody and everybody in. It's an all-inclusive game, no matter how crappy you are at basketball. So that was good.
Somehow it was always more fun outside than inside.
Always more fun outside, for sure. There's no question about that. Speaking about people who have fun outside, it looks like Rod Breaker is here, the Mr. Morgan you know. Rod, we are talking about what was your favorite schoolyard game to play. Do you have one?
I was absolutely a huge fan of
All right,
kickball.
we tried to get Rod in, but Rod is just going to not talk to us today, which is fine. Rod's a little mad still. Is he coming in? He might or might not. There he is. Hey, Rod, how are you, bud? Go on.
This was rigged.
Great.
This was rigged.
This is fantastic.
Jimmy called him up just as like, hey, you have to come in and back me up here. I call Shenanigans.
We were gonna get into the janitors helping us get the footballs at Jefferson Elementary School. We had a big river, the Yellow River, because it's yellow, which is Great. It was behind our playground. There's a big fence. It was good times. But enough about our reminiscing about wonderful elementary school. We need to talk about something even more depressing right now, and that is which division are we in, Williams?
NFC South.
Ooh, the NFC South. So they have 4 teams that are in the NFL, 2 of which might have a chance at doing maybe something. But let's talk about the one who has no chance at all. Your, my, and our New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. DK has them over 5.5 wins plus 135, under 5.5 wins minus 165. Ton of juice there to the under. There's a lot of people around the league that think this is going to be maybe the worst team in the league, but Kellen Moore comes in as head coach off his Super Bowl win OC from Philly. He used Devontae Smith in the slot at a 40% clip last season. I think if he does that with Chris Olave, then Olave is going to crush his average draft position right now. Nobody wants to take him because they think that the Saints are going to stink, which I'm not disputing, but who else is going to get targets on this team? And what helps a rookie is a quick, high percentage throws to veteran wide receivers in the league. Olave going to get more targets than most people think this year. Yeah, they're going to shuffle the O-line up too. They drafted Banks at offensive tackle in the top 10. A lot of experts like that pick. They were just riddled with injuries last year. Olave missed 9 games. Kier missed 11 games in 2024. So their wide receiver group was just depleted. And then this year, Tyrann Mathieu retires right before the season starts. They go out and get Julian Blackmon, the safety from the Colts, to take his spot. Decent replacement there. But yeah, I don't really have much here. I think this team's going to be playing from behind a lot. I think they are going to be up tempo. So Kellen Moore could get a few more fantasy relevant games out of his guys here. But I don't see much from the Saints this year.
Did you watch much of that? How did you like his quarterbacking in that the short amount of time?
Shuck. Yeah, I thought Shuck was decent. I mean, he had a few throws that weren't that great, but he bounced back there. I thought he played better than Ritter, but there's even some talk that the Saints could trade for this Tanner McKee guy, who's the backup for Philly, who obviously has a relationship with Kellen Moore. And Tanner McKee has been blowing it up in a couple preseason games. I know it's preseason.
Yeah.
But there's even talk about that. So we'll see. I mean, the Saints seem like they should be tanking. I know Chris hates this for the number 1 pick next year, but I don't know. Yeah, the Saints don't really have much hope this year.
So, Chris, do you think the Saints should try to go for Arch Manning, even though Archie Manning said he's probably not gonna come on, gonna go back to Texas, mostly because he can probably make $20 million next year?
I mean, why in the world would you ever play for something that you don't even know is guaranteed? That's the dumbest thing in the world. We have heard it. You play to win the game, all right?
Do you?
You don't play to win a draft pick because you don't know what's going to happen with that draft pick. You just don't know, right? So you never, ever tank for a draft pick. If that's what the Saints are doing, they should be ashamed.
Yeah, Williams said that someone's got to catch the ball. So our fantasy experts here, Rod, are you going to draft Olave? They're going to be playing down a lot. Someone needs to catch the ball. I don't know. What do you think?
Ooh, we may have lost Jimmy there.
You never know. All right, we'll see you. Thank you. All right, so Williams, I was burned by Olave, I think, last year and the year before because he's there. You might as well take him. Someone's got to catch the ball. Not necessarily in New Orleans. We've talked enough about the Saints, though. Who do you want to go to next? Falcons, Panthers, or Bucks?
Yeah, we could go with Rod's Bucks here. I think they're the favorite to win this division. DraftKings has them over 9.5 minus 105, under 9.5 minus 115. So a little bit more juice to the under here. But this franchise has surprisingly won 4 straight division titles, and Baker ranked as the 6th best QB overall last year via PFF. They do lose offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs for the first month of the season. He was the number 1 rated pass blocker in the league last year, and that can mean a slight dip in production for Baker, Mike Evans, and company. And they do lose offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, who was great as the Bucs offensive coordinator last year. The splits on Mike Evans last season. When Godwin did play, Evans was wide receiver 21. When Godwin missed time, Evans skyrocketed all the way up to wide receiver 2. So Baker really looked for him when Godwin was out. And can he keep his streak of 1,000-yard seasons going again this year, which is pretty incredible for Mike Evans. But from 23 to 24, the Bucs offense went from 36 touchdowns to 57 touchdowns. Massive improvement. This is why I'm so high on Jacksonville under Liam Cohen, at least their offense, because I think he had a lot to do with it. But in regards to the Bucs, I feel like that means that regression is coming. Baker's touchdown rate in 24 was 7.2%. That's 3 percentage points higher than the league average. He threw 13 more touchdowns last year, 41, than in any other year of his career. And Tampa was 4th in touchdowns per game last year. And 72% of those touchdowns were through the air. I don't think that's sustainable. Since 2011, we've had 13 teams average 3.25 touchdowns per game or more, with at least 70% of those touchdowns coming via the pass. The 2024 Bucs being one of those teams last year. Of the previous 12, there was only one of those teams that increased their passing touchdowns from the previous season. And ironically enough, it was the Bucs back in 2021 when Brady topped his passing touchdown total by a whopping 1 from the 2020 COVID season. The other 11 teams saw their passing touchdown total drop by an average of 9.7 passing touchdowns. So that means if Baker is going to do that, that would be from him dropping from 41 touchdowns all the way down to 31 touchdowns this year. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I feel like regression is coming for this Bucs team this year.
Chris, what are your thoughts on the Bucs this year? Do you think they have enough to win this very weird division?
Yeah, I think it's their division to lose. And when you look through their schedule, there's 3 games I think you can mark as a loss: the Eagles, Lions, Bills. But I think they're capable of winning every other game on their schedule. And even if Baker regresses a little bit, he can regress from 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and still have a remarkable season. So I think the offense is still potent. I think it's their division to lose. I think they get double-digit wins.
See, I'm not that high on them. I do think it is their division to lose because I don't see either of the other teams we're going to talk about here doing much with the division. I think the loss of the offensive coordinator is going to hurt them a little bit more than people think. But again, I think in this division, that's enough to get 9 wins and win the division. I really do. Williams, Panthers or Falcons? Kind of similar teams, young quarterbacks.
Quick question to circle back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Williams, do you know if this coordinator took any of the secondary position coaches with him, or was Tampa Bay?
I don't think they let him.
I would say, did Tampa Bay keep their quarterbacks, their running backs, their wide receiver coaches, and everything?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure on that.
I think Tampa Bay was pissed at him though, so I don't know if they let him interview anybody. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, because he initially turned it down, and then he negotiated that Trent Baalke be fired for the GM from Jacksonville, and so then when they did that, he re-put his name into the running, and they went with him. So, yeah, I'd have to do some more digging on that. I would lean towards no, but yeah, that's a good question.
All right, who we got next, Williams?
We can go Carolina here. There's a sneaky fantasy guy, and I mean, the Sharps are loving this guy. So we'll get to him in a second off this team. DK has over 6.5 minus 130. Carolina under 6.5 plus 110. So there's a few more people that think they're going to win over 6.5 games. The Panthers have not made the playoffs since that last Super Bowl run that they went on in 2015. That's wild. They go out and get the best red zone wide receiver in the draft, and Tutorial McMillan. They bring in Rico Dowdle from some depth at running back. Chris knows him. He played for the Cowboys last year. PFF has them as the 11th best O-line. And in rate of runs over expectation, Chuba Hubbard was actually number 1 in the NFL last year. Rico Dowdle was number 1 in percentage of carries to get at least 3 yards after contact. So kind of surprising running back stats from this team that you would not expect to hear that from. But no wide receiver group dropped more catchable targets last year than Bryce Young's wide receivers did. Xavier Leggett and David Moore did him no favors at all. They dropped a combined 11 passes. And despite that, Bryce was still top 10 in accuracy on throws down the field of 20 yards or more. And we talked about McMillan earlier. Rookie wide receivers drafted in the top 10 since 2021 have averaged over 7.5 targets per game and over 1,000 yards in their first season. And they played the 7th easiest schedule based off win totals. They play 5 teams all year that are projected to have a winning record. The fantasy piece I was talking about is McMillan, their top 10 wide receiver pick from the draft out of Arizona. He did a good job at running routes, running outs, horizontal, breaking outs and digs. Bryce Young was really good on those routes last year. And how about this? The final 3 weeks of last season, Bryce Young second in the league in big time throw percentage per PFF. I think McMillan has extremely strong hands. He's 6'4". Nobody really saw him play that much out in Arizona. And he's got great maneuverability in like midair for a rookie. I mean, every other game he's making like a ridiculous one-handed catch. So I was going to say in home leagues, you could probably get this guy like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th round. In the Fantasy Football Players Championship fantasy drafts that are going on like right now, someone took him in the back half of the 3rd round this year. So he is skyrocketing up the draft boards. This guy is going to be a household name this year, I think. Tet McMillan.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people were down on him on draft day. Every team except for the Panthers. Yeah. That was a little bit of a surprise that he went that high. But Bryce Young needed it. Chris, are you a Bryce Young believer, or are you like everyone else, and after 2 bad games, 3 bad games, he's done? He can't ever be a quarterback anymore. How dumb of them to draft him.
I mean, he's been here for 2 seasons, and he averages 172 yards passing a game.
I'll take it.
You'll take that?
Hey, remember what my teams are. Remember my teams.
You know, you can't believe in Bryce Young. I wanted to, right? Like, I didn't want him to be pigeonholed into a short quarterback type situation. I wanted him to succeed, but I know receivers dropped a lot of passes, but they didn't drop that many. He still only completed 60%. You take, the 12 to 15 passes that may have gotten officially dropped, you're still at 60. No, you don't believe in Bryce Young.
To circle back on the Jags, Liam Cohen did, in fact, take one member of the Tampa Bay staff. John Van Dam joined his staff as the pass game specialist because his contract expired with the Bucs. Every other Bucs assistant he asked to interview was blocked by the Bucs because they are petty, and they should have been, because he said, I'll come back, and they said, sure, and then he said goodbye.
Pass game specialist?
Yes.
That spells bad news, I think, for Tampa Bay then. That'd be one guy I think you'd want to keep there.
Well, I don't know if that's what he was, but now that is what he is. He could have just been any random assistant too, so you never know.
One more thing on Panthers. Their defense last year was pitiful. They were last overall, last versus the pass, last versus the rush, last on 3rd downs, last in the red zone. Like, how do we do, Coach? We do all right. But they did get back their defensive tackle, Derek Brown. He's one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the league. He didn't play at all last year. That is huge. And they attacked the defensive line in the draft, did a great job in rounds 2 through 4. And if you add that to McMillan in round 1, I think Carolina had a super sneaky draft here. I know Bryce Young was not good in the first half of the year, but after he came back, after he got benched, I think he really showed some promise and some improvement. So I'm interested to see how Bryce Young does this year.
All right, let's hit the Falcons next. But before we get into the season, let's talk about this game from last week where the Lions and Falcons were going against each other in the 4th quarter. Lions were leading 17-10 when Detroit safety Maurice Norris got hit and was afraid to be paralyzed. After they took care of him, I think the Falcons snapped the ball, didn't they? And then just everyone stood there and no one knew kind of what was going on. And then they all got in a circle and did a little prayer and they stopped the game. You know, in this day and age of a lot of hate going around, I thought this was great. The game did not matter at all. And at that time, no one wanted to play because they were scared for their teammate or fellow NFL player. And I don't know, I thought it was something that was really cool that happened. Would that have happened in a regular season game? I don't think so. But who knows? It might in the future. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a nice gesture by all, for their fallen colleague. Which, by the way, I believe he does have a movement in his extremities, which I thought was cool. Any comments on that, Williams? And then we'll go to Chris.
Yeah, I mean, they did the right thing. Obviously, their preseason doesn't really matter, especially in the fourth quarter. And you have to wonder how many more preseason games are we going to set up? They want. Obviously, the CBA, they want to talk about going to 18 regular season games and 2 preseason games. But, there's been already so many injuries this year. Rashawn Slater going down for the Chargers is huge. And there's a couple other – the Colts lost a running back. The Ravens lost a rookie cornerback for the year. So, yeah, we've got torn ACLs, torn patellas. We got all kinds of stuff. And so you wonder if they're going to go more towards scrimmaging because I know a lot of these teams – like to get the refs out with just like a practice scrimmage. But man, I feel like 3 preseason games might be too many.
Chris.
It was the correct decision, right? And I'm glad that the players stood up and did what needed to be done so that we didn't have to then blame the league for being insensitive or anything else like that. Like, this was the correct thing to do. Like William said, there's no need for this game. There's no need to keep playing, right? You just saw a horrific injury. Let's just stop and go home and say our prayers and hope everything works out. Correct thing to do. Bravo to them.
Yes, and before we get to the Falcons, let's do a fun one. Hey, CeeDee Lamb almost got injured. He was standing in the way of the ref and got plowed over. What a great Dallas Cowboys thing to do. How relevant are the Dallas Cowboys, guys?
You trying to throw shade? Are we doing the AFC or the NFC North next week? Because I can bring some more Bears heat if you want it.
It's hard to tie in a preseason game, but damn it, we did it. Williams, let's talk about the Michael Pennix era officially from the beginning of the season, starting for the Falcons. Are you optimistic about the Pennix era?
I am as a Hoosier fan, and man, we had some fantasy goodness given out here with McMillan, and this Falcons team, I think, has got some fantasy goodness.
Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts?
Oh, maybe.
No.
Rod's guy. DK has the Falcons over 7.5 minus 140, under 7.5 plus 115. So a little bit more juice to the over here. So bettors think that the Falcons give the Bucs their toughest competition in this division. The first half of their schedule is up against really good offensive, competent play. So I feel like they could be in a lot of shootouts this year. We don't know if their D is going to take a step up finally this season or not. I mean, they did try to address it. They did draft 2 defensive players in the first 26 picks in the draft, if you guys remember that. 2 SEC defensive players, so hopefully that'll improve their defense a little bit. They were putrid, though, at rushing the passer last year, and they have been for about 10 years now. They just cannot get a good edge rusher in there. But like you were saying, Jimmy, with Pennex, remember 2 of the 3 games that Pennex started for them, they were shootout games where both teams scored over 30 points. But versus top 10 Ds last year, the Falcons were only 1-6. They got to reverse that. And in the 3 games with Pennex last year, here we go with some fantasy goodness. Drake London averaged over 115 yards per game and 2 end zone targets per game. Those paces would have led the NFL not just last year, but in each of the last 4 seasons. And his slot rate doubled from last year to from 2023 to 2024. When he was in the slot last year, he was 6th in target rate and 8th in yards per route run. He was the 2nd most targeted wide receiver versus man and the 6th in per routes run versus zone. He had 60% of the team's end zone targets last season. That's crazy. London had 24 red zone targets last year. His teammate Darnell Mooney only had 6. And in the one game that Mooney did not play, London had 18 targets. So he only had 1 100-yard game with Kirk Cousins, but he had 2 100-yard games out of the 3 games that Michael Pennix started. And when Michael Pennix was under center, London had a 38% target share, which is wildly high and unsustainable, but it just shows you how much he was looking for London, how much he was comfortable with London. And Jimmy, to your question, Pennex was top 5 in big throw rate percentage. I know small sample size, but massive ceiling. 47% of his throws were 10 yards or more down the field. Pennex loves to throw it, chuck it down the field. 18% were 20 or more yards down the field, both most in the league. So the offense could have some fireworks this year, especially Drake London.
So, Chris, maybe a Drake London is who you'd pick over Chris Olave.
Right, maybe. I will say this about the Falcons because they intrigue me a lot. I want Michael Pennix to succeed because of the IU ties. However, I don't know if I trust this team to win anything. I think in every single game, you're going to have the Falcons play to their opposition. If they're playing the Saints and the Saints are sucking, we're going to see the Falcons play down to the Saints, where we could then see them play up against somebody like the Bills or whoever it may be, and maybe squeak out some of those close wins that will make us believers, and then they'll still end up, 8-9, 7-10, and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, that's where we're going to go next. That's where I have them. I have them at 7-10. I have them missing the playoffs. I think this division is going to beat up on each other and then get beaten up on by other divisions. I do have the Bucs at 9-8 winning the division, and then I have the Saints being one of the worst teams in the NFL at 4-13. Chris, what do you got? Who's winning the division?
I got the Bucs, and I think they're going to get 11.
Okay. And Mr. Williams?
I don't know.
Okay.
Pick something.
I'm not as high on the Bucs as Chris is. I actually think the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Falcons can all win right around 8 or 9 games. I think the Panthers are going to take a step up, and I think the Falcons have closed the gap on the Bucs. Remember, the Falcons swept the Bucs last year, and that was with Cousins. I think they're going to get a jump start from Pennex this year. I think this division, just like the NFC North and really the NFC West, is super competitive. Super competitive. I think any one of 3 or 4 teams, 3 teams in this division, I think 4 teams in the NFC North, and I think 4 in the NFC West can win their divisions. I don't know when the last time you could say that about certain divisions were.
Well, it may not be good football, but it'll be close football, and that's what we like here on the Yeah We Know podcast. Williams, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Tell us about IU basketball. What are your thoughts this year?
Oh, man, I'm pumped. This is going to be the most analytical basketball season that we've ever had in Bloomington. The reports are that this team is super gritty. They went down to Puerto Rico, smashed their first opponent. Yes, I know. But they played a Serbian team, the second and third game. They got down by 20. Which is not great. But they went on a 70-19 run in the second half.
Not bad.
Yeah. And they've got 2 defensive guards who as it's described to me, is that the opposing fan base is going to hate these guys, and the Hoosier fans are going to love these guys. And one of them is transferred from DePaul Enright, who used to play for Drake under DeVries. So yeah, I think they're going to space the floor a lot. They're going to shoot a ton of threes, and they're going to get up tempo. It's going to be exciting. They're going to play pressure defense on the exterior. They're going to have trouble rebounding probably, and they're going to have their biggest weakness is probably going to be rim protection. But this team is going to seemingly play hard, and that's what the fans want. And they're already it seems like they're already a tight-knit group. So that is fantastic also, man. I'm so pumped for this season. And we should have at least 4 or 5 guys that can shoot the 3 on this team. They attempted 21 3-pointers in the first half the other day. There was only 7 games all year last year where they shot 21 attempts for the entire game. So we're kind of getting to the new age era here of spacing the floor out and having some stretch fours and some good shooters on the floor. So I'm pumped for IU basketball here.
Chris, as a 65-year-old fan of the Indiana Hoosiers, how does that make you feel?
What do I say every year around March, gentlemen? What gets you deep into March? It's
defense,
good guard play, and defense. And if what Williams says comes to fruition, then I think it's good things for IU basketball.
Good things for IU basketball. Good things for the Yeah We Know podcast coming up real soon. You've been listening to Balls and Brew on the Morgan O's Podcasting Network.
Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan O's Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and Chris on a huge day in the WWE and TKO in general. We've had a $500 million, we've had a $7 billion deal for UFC. Chris, biggest news of the week coming out for us is the WWE and ESPN form the mega powers to stream all of the pay-per-views on the ESPN Plus app, or not ESPN Plus, just the ESPN app. Very confusing. What are your initial thoughts on this merger deal?
That I'm losing access to the PLEs that I was so accustomed to through Peacock with my monthly subscription to them. I am also confused as to how I will be able to see and how much these are going to cost, because that's going to play a big role in whether or not I am watching everything besides WrestleMania and maybe one other one, because I'm not going to spend the $30 a month that I'm hearing plus another 50 to 60 to watch a PLE.
Okay, so I think this is what's going to happen. Okay, do you have cable?
Kind of.
Okay, I don't need to know anymore. I have YouTube TV, and there's other cable companies. If your cable company has made a deal with ESPN to give you the access to the app for free, you get access for free and you won't have to pay anything extra. Right now, YouTube TV does not have that deal with ESPN. Now, we have until March of 2026, which is, a few months away. If not, then yeah, you would have to pay $30 a month. Now, everything I'm reading, Chris, that $30 a month includes the PLEs. So if you have a subscription to that app, it includes the PLEs. There's no more pay-per-view. There's no WWE pay-per-view. There's no UFC pay-per-view anymore.
So if I currently have the Hulu, Disney, ESPN bundle,
I think there's going to be something where they bundle in that app as well. So you'll probably have to pay a little bit more for it, I'm assuming. So much stuff is up in the air still. Or you can VPN and say you're from a different country and watch everything on Netflix.
I do have a VPN, of course.
Well, yeah, you don't want anyone knowing where you are. So it's great for WWE. It's a little confusing for fans right now. So we need to make sure that we let our fans know that we've got their back because we're the reason they're so big. Kind of like UFC did, where they got a $7 billion deal from Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus off the top rope out of nowhere. Kind of like the Seth Rollins injury angle when no one saw it coming. And they just swoop in at the 11th hour and take it from ESPN and Netflix, and they get everything. And it's included in the monthly fee. So you don't have to worry about anything if you're a UFC fan. You save, that was $70 a month, $80 a month for those pay-per-views that they were doing, Chris.
Yeah, no, and I really think that Paramount got a whole lot of new publicity and influx of money from new subscribers and their new parent company that made them be able to afford this deal.
It scares me a little bit just because Paramount needs to get a lot more subscribers, or they're going to have to really up their monthly fee.
They've been getting them. South Park has been huge.
Like 5 million more subscribers for this to pay off.
Well, they'll
I mean?
do that too because the UFC fans will do that. I mean, if they're got to be getting double to triple that pay-per-view buys every month, so they're going to get that in subscriptions for it.
You would think, of the two, I was listening to Simmons earlier today, and he said the WWE, he'd rather have the WWE because you're guaranteed your top stars are going to be at basically every pay-per-view, right? And if not, they have so many top stars, it kind of takes over. Conor McGregor hasn't been on a UFC pay-per-view since 2021. John Jones is retired. So
how many times have they changed a fighter in the last couple of weeks before a fight?
Exactly. And they really need to get those new stars coming up, kind of learn a little bit from their partner in WWE to do that. It's a little easier, obviously, for WWE because they can figure out who they want to make a star and just make them a star. But once if you're UFC, who is a good fighter, you got to go with that person. You got to get them out there and make them the biggest stars possible.
It doesn't matter then either because you have that person come out, they fight June. They're not going to be physically able to fight until maybe November.
And that's another point too. You've got to wait. And then also, Chris, I know you're a big working man's guy here. So your main event in the pay-per-views were getting points on that. They were getting money based on how many buys there were. There are no more buys for pay-per-view. Do you think the UFC is just going to up everybody's pay?
I mean,
They haven't yet.
I think you'll end up seeing a lot of fighters renegotiating those deals, though, and not agreeing to a new type of PLE for the UFC without like, hey, if I'm not getting points on the back end, I need this flat amount up front, or however it may be structured.
That's a lot of business talk, Chris. Let's talk wrestling. How about that?
I'm calling for an investigation, Jimmy.
Okay, talk to me.
We need to investigate, again, why the referees have no union yet. But more importantly, Triple H, the official timekeepers, and the reason that we are giving matches to the fans that have no consequences at all. I'm specifically talking about SmackDown, Sami Zayn, Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
Why in the world wasn't the belt put up? Why was it not and didn't change hands? There is some shenanigans going on. If we're going to have these people fight and defend their championship, that belt needs to be put up there. That was a clean match. There's no reason that belt shouldn't have changed hands. And this is coming from a guy who's not a Sammy fan.
There's a huge reason why the belt didn't change hands, Chris. They have to have a rematch for the belt to be on the line. Come on now.
But we were not, as a viewer, I was not given.
I wasn't either. I thought he won the U.S. championship. I really did, because I was, I was doing something else, had Raw in the background, so I'm not glued in. I don't know if they said anything on commentary. But yeah, I'm like, oh, and we have a new U.S. champ. Let's go. We don't.
Shenanigans. It's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. As a new wrestling fan, this is a way to get me out.
And I know it's been kind of talked to death, but these stupid endings, I hate them. I hate them with a passion. Sami Zayn and Rusev had a pretty decent match going on, right? What do? Interference at the end, end it. And these interference at the ends, I hate it because it doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, so you knew he'd kick out of the other 17. But that 18th, you knew he wasn't going to kick out, so you had to get it before that. Like, what's going on?
Right, I don't know. We're just getting set up for more and more of it. We saw it in SummerSlam, where every match was essentially no rules, so anybody could do anything, and you couldn't get a schmoz ending, but you never got a fair, clean fight either. So it's frustrating. We don't want that schmoz ending all the time, do we?
No, it gets old. And the reason for a lot of that is, oh, we don't want to beat either guy. Well, then don't make the match. You can make any match you want. Say what you want to about AEW. They have maybe one of those every couple of months. They have specifically not done a lot of the interference finishes because people hate it.
Yeah, no. It's getting a little bit out of control. Like, you got to go a different route. But when you do a match and have a clean finish, make it mean something like, hey, somebody gets a new belt.
Well, that means Sami Zayn does get his number one contender now. That'll probably be in Paris. They'll do that there. But speaking about AEW, guess what, Chris? They have a pay-per-view on September 20th. Guess who now is going to do a premium live event on September 20th?
Would that be the WWE?
And guess where that's going to be located at?
Is that in Perth?
No, the WWE's event is going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, no kidding.
And guess what the rumored main event is for that? They want to keep people away from AEW's All Out pay-per-view, which is their second biggest pay-per-view of the year-ish. John Cena, Brock Lesnar right now is slated for that pay-per-view in Indy. It's about a 54-minute drive for you.
Oh, it's less than that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
I can park in 40 and walk the final 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we know people. We know where to park. Shout out, Dax. Appreciate you, buddy. Something to think about coming up. Yeah. I don't think those tickets are going to be cheap, but yeah.
And especially if our boy LA Knight makes it. Like, to be honest.
Well, he's going to be champ. He's going to be champ by then.
No, it's not. You want to get into this too? Because now we have a fatal four-way, right?
Yes.
Set up, which I love. I love the way LA Knight handled himself the other night, even though they got jumped. Like, he didn't take no grief from Phil or anybody else, doing what he needs to do. But now we have this fatal four-way where we know Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker are going to interfere, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
No DQ.
Right? So we're right back to getting a schnoz, and that's fine, I guess, for this particular storyline because you got to keep the belt on Rollins, I guess. But let me see more of LA Knight beating the crap out of Phil. That's what I really want to see.
Well, I liked it because he was angry. Now, Phil came out and he did say, hey, listen, I've done the same thing a few times, but I got screwed. No, you didn't. That's exactly what Rollins could do under the rules. There's no screwing involved there. I really want to see LA Knight CM Punk one-on-one. I thought that would have been kind of cool, just, as a blood feud there. And we might still see it. I believe Jey Uso is going to get pinned by Seth Rollins, though, in Paris, for sure.
Yeah, I'll see that. I'm not a Jey Uso fan either. So let me see Rollins pin him. And let me see LA Knight kick Phil around the ring a little bit.
So before we leave, we got to talk about this women's division. This women's division is amazing. When Rhea Ripley's like the fifth story, it's a good time going on, okay? With all due respect to Charlotte and Alexa, I really want to talk about Io Sky, who might be the best wrestler in the world right now. She is over like no other. She always puts on good matches. She and Roxanne Perez, let's go. They had a great match up there.
That was a phenomenal match, right? That was a phenomenal match. And you got to give it up. All right, we'll talk about Io Sky first because she's been doing it for a while. I think her performances in the ring allowed her to keep that belt longer than probably WWE originally intended. I think that the fact that she performs no matter who is in the ring with her, the crowd appreciates that more and more, and that's why she's getting the pop she deserves. Roxanne Perez, to me, and nobody coming from NXT.
Yeah. For
Like,
you and nobody. Yeah.
Looking like a seasoned pro in this match. And I got to give Io some credit, but she can't do it all on her own. Roxanne looked great.
So the reason why they wrestled is because Naomi is apparently injured, and they didn't say what the injury was, which usually means it's probably concussion related. But also Stephanie Vaquer came over and said, you're not the only one that got screwed over of a championship match. So this match is supposed to take place in 2 more weeks. So this could be a long-term injury for Naomi, which they didn't strip her of the title yesterday. So I've got to think they might be evaluating her or something going on.
Yeah, I have no idea how they decide to do that either, right? I mean, Dom wasn't cleared to wrestle for I don't know how long. They didn't strip him of a title.
Yeah, kept him on TV though, and kind of they wove that in a storyline. Which, by the way, apparently he was actually hurt. So who knows about that?
Is it a work or is it a work?
Is a work or a work? And speaking of that, we have Karrion Kross, who is not employed by WWE anymore, apparently. Although I'll believe that when he goes on AEW. Anything else, I'm not going to believe. If he's on Dynamite, okay, he's not on WWE anymore. If he's in TNA, I mean, come on, he that's fine. If he goes to other indies, yeah, there's no question he could still be in WWE. We'll see what happens. I hope whatever happens works out the best for him, whatever this is.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is AEW the only place he could go where he?
All right, Chris, you there still? All right, Chris. Well, hey, guess what? My headphones right now are going really crazy. So we're gonna talk about the Bayley promo next week because we'll have a lot more info on that because I can't hear anything right now and I don't want the reverb in the microphone. With that being said, listen, we don't have any money to go behind the show. We're doing the best we can. With that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and Chris.